Revenue was stable. The board was aligned. Meetings were efficient. Disagreement was minimal. And that was the warning sign. No crisis, no scandal, no visible instability, just calm. And sometimes calm is the beginning of decline. After several volatile years, the executive team had worked deliberately to reduce noise. Fewer escalations reached the board. Fewer disagreements spilled into formal sessions. Reporting packs were tighter. Narratives were clearer. The organisation felt composed. That composure was not accidental. Months earlier, a series of small leadership adjustments had been made. Pre-meetings increased. Executive discussions were resolved before entering formal forums. Points of disagreement were settled offline rather than explored live. The intention was coherence. Board meetings, it was argued, should focus on direction, not internal debate. Alignment should be demonstrated, not constructed, in front of non-executives. The decision was subtle: reduce visible friction at the top. The belief underneath it was rarely examined. Alignment signals strength. Disagreement signals instability. Calm signals control. None of those assumptions are inherently flawed, but they shape behaviour. At first, the shift appeared beneficial. Board sessions ran efficiently, papers were concise, questions were answered quickly. Instead of extended strategic tension, there were crisp summaries. Instead of visible debate, there was disciplined agreement. The chair described the tone as mature. Investors commented positively on clarity. Inside the executive team, something adjusted. Dissent began earlier and ended earlier. Concerns were raised in smaller settings. Challenges were resolved before becoming collective. Alternative interpretations were filtered before being formalised. What shifted was not the presence of disagreement. It was where disagreement was allowed to exist. The first signal didn't appear dramatic. Competitors began experimenting more aggressively. New pricing models entered the market. Adjacent players shifted their positioning. Externally, the environment was moving. Internally, the interpretation of those moves remained conservative. The organisation had optimised for predictability. Strategic debate narrowed subtly. When someone proposed a more disruptive response, the instinct was caution. When volatility was suggested as opportunity, the tone shifted to risk management. No one blocked bold ideas. They were simply reframed as premature. Calm had become the operating norm, and calm has gravity. Gradually, the executive team began to converge more quickly. Convergence felt efficient. Friction reduced. Meetings shortened. The board saw alignment. What the board did not see was the reduction in strategic variance. Variance is uncomfortable. It produces tension. It creates visible disagreement. And it also produces adaptation. As quarters passed, revenue remained acceptable, but growth slowed. Pipeline quality shifted. Client conversations changed tone. These signals were discussed. They were noted. They were not contested. The interpretation of market conditions became uniform. External factors were emphasized. Competitive pressure was acknowledged. Economic cycles were cited. All partially true. But internally, something else had shifted months earlier. The system had reduced live strategic friction. By resolving disagreement early, the organisation also reduced the probability of transformative challenge. Bold interpretations require oxygen. They require visible tension. They require space to feel inconvenient. When tension is managed too effectively, alternatives struggle to surface. The executive environment felt stable, and stability became the benchmark for good leadership. By the time revenue dipped meaningfully, the explanations were external. Market headwinds, pricing erosion, client conservatism, all defensible. But strategic decline rarely announces itself with chaos. Sometimes it begins with composure. The organisation had moved from tension-driven adaptation to calm-driven preservation. Each executive decision had been rational. Each alignment conversation logical. Each effort to prevent coherence well-intentioned. Together, they narrowed strategic exploration. When decline became visible, it appeared sudden. In reality, variance had been thinning for some time. Decline did not begin with failure. It began when calm became more important than challenge. Nothing here was accidental, but very little was deliberate.